Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel. Many people believe that a strong memory is something people are born with. They think some people naturally remember everything while others forget easily. But the truth is different. Memory is not just a talent. It is a skill that can be trained and improved. If you learn how your brain works and develop the right habits, your memory power and concentration can become much stronger. Students, professionals, and anyone who wants to learn faster can benefit from improving their memory. In this video, we will explore powerful lessons that can help you increase your memory power and improve your concentration. Lesson 1. Focus your mind on one thing. The first and most important step to increase memory power and concentration is learning how to focus your mind on one thing at a time. In today's world, many people struggle with concentration because their attention is constantly divided. Phones, social media, notifications, and many other distractions compete for our attention every minute. As a result, the brain becomes used to jumping from one task to another. Many people believe they are being productive when they do several things at the same time. For example, they may try to study while checking their phone, listening to music with lyrics, or watching videos. This habit is called multitasking. Although multitasking feels efficient, it actually weakens memory and concentration. The human brain is not designed to focus deeply on several tasks at once. When we try to multitask, our brain simply switches quickly between tasks. Each time the brain switches from one activity to another, it loses some focus and energy. This constant switching prevents the brain from processing information deeply. When information is not processed deeply, it becomes harder to remember later. Think about a time when you read something while your mind was distracted. You may have read the same sentence several times without truly understanding it. This happens because your brain was not fully focused on the information. But when you concentrate fully on one task, something different happens. Your brain becomes deeply engaged with the information. It begins to create strong connections between ideas, and these connections help store information in memory. This is why students who study with full concentration often remember much more than those who study while distracted. Focusing on one task also helps the brain reduce mental fatigue. When the brain constantly jumps between activities, it uses more energy. This makes you feel tired and less productive. But when you focus on one task for a longer period, the brain works more smoothly and efficiently. Another powerful benefit of single-task focus is deeper understanding. When you give your full attention to a topic, you do not just memorize it. You understand it. Understanding creates stronger memory because the brain links new information with existing knowledge. For example, when learning a new concept, a focused mind can analyze it, ask questions about it, and connect it with other ideas. These mental connections strengthen memory and make the information easier to recall later. Developing strong focus requires practice. One helpful technique is to create a distraction-free environment. When studying or learning something important, try to remove things that may interrupt your attention. Keeping your phone away, turning off notifications, and choosing a quiet place can make a huge difference. Another useful method is studying in short, focused periods. Instead of trying to concentrate for many hours without a break, you can focus deeply for about 20 to 30 minutes. After that, take a short break to relax your mind before returning to the task. This method helps the brain stay fresh and attentive. It is also helpful to train your mind to return to focus when distractions appear. At first, your mind may wander often. This is normal. The important thing is gently bringing your attention back to the task each time it drifts away. With practice, your ability to concentrate will improve. People with strong memory are not necessarily born with special brains. They simply develop the habit of deep focus. When you train your mind to focus on one thing at a time, your brain becomes more powerful at processing and storing information. Over time, this habit can dramatically improve your memory, learning ability, and productivity. In a world full of distractions, the ability to concentrate deeply has become a rare and valuable skill. And by mastering this skill, you give your brain the power to remember more, learn faster, and think more clearly. Lesson 2. Repeat and review information regularly. One of the most powerful ways to increase memory power is repetition. The human brain does not remember information permanently the first time it sees or hears something. Most information enters the brain through short-term memory, and if it is not used or reviewed again, the brain slowly begins to forget it. This is completely natural. Our brain receives a huge amount of information every day. To protect itself from overload, it keeps only the information that seems important or frequently repeated. That is why repetition is such a powerful learning method. When you repeat or review information several times, your brain begins to understand that this information is important. Because of this, it starts storing the information in long-term memory. Long-term memory is the part of the brain where knowledge stays for a long time, sometimes even for years. Think about how you learned basic things such as the alphabet or simple words when you were a child. You did not learn them in one attempt. You repeated them again and again until they became natural. The same principle works for learning anything new. When students read something only once and never review it again, their brain often forgets most of it within a short period of time. But when the same information is reviewed multiple times over several days, the brain strengthens the memory connections. Each review makes the memory stronger. Another powerful reason repetition works is because it gives the brain multiple chances to understand the information. Sometimes when we read something for the first time, we may only understand a part of it. But when we review the same idea again, our brain notices details that we missed before. With each review, the concept becomes clearer. This deeper understanding helps information stay longer in memory. Repetition does not mean simply reading the same thing again and again without thinking. Effective repetition involves actively engaging with the information. For example, after learning something new, you can try explaining it in your own words. You can write notes, summarize the idea, or teach it to someone else. These activities force your brain to process the information more deeply. The deeper the brain processes information, the stronger the memory becomes. Another helpful method is spaced repetition. Spaced repetition means reviewing information at increasing intervals of time. Instead of repeating something many times in one sitting, you review it after a few hours, then after one day, then after several days. Each time you review the information, the brain strengthens the memory connection. This method is extremely powerful for long-term learning. Many successful students and learners use this technique because it prevents forgetting. Reviewing information regularly also builds confidence. When you revisit a topic and realize that you remember it well, your brain receives positive reinforcement. This makes learning feel easier and more enjoyable. On the other hand, when information is never reviewed, it becomes difficult to recall later. This often creates frustration and makes learning feel harder than it actually is. Another advantage of repetition is that it trains the brain to recognize patterns. The more often the brain sees certain information, the faster it can recognize and recall it in the future. This is why experienced professionals in any field often seem to remember information quickly. They have repeated and practiced that knowledge many times over the years. Repetition transforms knowledge into skill. However, it is also important to combine repetition with attention and understanding. Simply repeating information without focusing on it will not produce strong results. But when repetition is combined with concentration and curiosity, memory becomes much stronger. The truth is simple. The brain remembers what it sees often. By reviewing information regularly, repeating important ideas, and actively engaging with what you learn, you train your brain to store knowledge more effectively. Over time, this habit can dramatically increase your memory power and make learning faster and easier. And that is why repetition is one of the most powerful tools for strengthening memory and improving concentration. Lesson 3. Sleep is essential for strong memory. One of the most powerful yet often ignored ways to increase memory power and concentration is proper sleep. Many people think that memory depends only on studying harder or spending more hours learning. Because of this belief, they sacrifice sleep in order to work longer or study late into the night. But the truth is that sleep plays a very important role in how our brain stores and remembers information. When we learn something new during the day, that information first enters the brain in a temporary form. It is held in what scientists call short-term memory. At this stage, the information is still fragile and can easily disappear if it is not processed properly. Sleep is the time when the brain organizes and strengthens this information. While we are sleeping, the brain continues working quietly. It reviews the experiences and knowledge we gained during the day and decides which information should be stored in long-term memory. This process is called memory consolidation. During deep sleep, the brain strengthens important memories and removes unnecessary information. It organizes what we have learned so that we can recall it more easily later. Without enough sleep, this process becomes weaker. As a result, even if you study for many hours, your brain may struggle to remember what you learned. This is why people who are tired often forget things more easily. They may read a page of information and realize a few minutes later that they cannot remember what they just studied. A tired brain cannot concentrate well. Concentration and memory are closely connected. When concentration becomes weak, the brain cannot process information deeply, and weak processing leads to weak memory. On the other hand, a well-rested brain works much more efficiently. When you sleep well, your brain feels refreshed and alert. You can focus more clearly, understand information more quickly, and remember it more easily. Sleep also improves problem-solving ability. Sometimes people struggle to understand something difficult during the day. But after a good night's sleep, the brain processes the problem again, and the solution may suddenly feel clearer. This is because the brain continues organizing thoughts even while you are resting. Another important reason sleep improves memory is that it restores mental energy. The brain uses a large amount of energy while thinking, learning, and concentrating. Without rest, this energy becomes depleted. Sleep allows the brain to recover and prepare for the next day of learning and thinking. Many successful students and professionals understand the importance of sleep. Instead of studying endlessly through the night, they create a balanced routine. They study with focus during the day and give their brain enough time to rest and recover at night. Research also shows that people who get enough sleep perform better in exams, problem-solving tasks, and creative thinking. Their memory is stronger, their concentration lasts longer, and their mental clarity improves. To improve memory power, it is helpful to develop healthy sleep habits. Try to maintain a regular sleep schedule by going to bed and waking up at similar times every day. Avoid using phones or watching bright screens just before sleeping, because this can disturb the brain's natural sleep rhythm. Creating a calm and quiet sleeping environment can also improve sleep quality. Even small improvements in sleep habits can make a big difference in mental performance. The truth is simple. Learning does not end when you stop studying. Your brain continues learning while you sleep. When you give your mind proper rest, you allow it to organize information, strengthen memories, and prepare for new knowledge. A well-rested brain is stronger, sharper, and more capable of remembering important information. And that is why good sleep is one of the most powerful secrets to improving memory power and concentration. Lesson 4. Use visualization to strengthen memory. One of the most powerful techniques to increase memory power is visualization. The human brain is naturally very good at remembering images and pictures. In fact, our brain remembers visual information much more easily than plain words or numbers. Think about your daily life. You may forget a long list of words quickly, but you can easily remember the face of a person you met years ago or the place where something important happened. This happens because the brain stores visual memories more strongly. Visualization uses this natural ability of the brain to improve memory. Visualization means turning information into mental pictures or images in your mind. When you imagine something visually, your brain processes it more deeply and stores it more effectively. For example, imagine you are trying to remember the word apple. If you only read the word, your brain receives limited information. But if you imagine a bright red apple in your mind, maybe shining in the sunlight or hanging from a tree, the brain creates a stronger memory connection. The more vivid the image becomes, the stronger the memory becomes. This method works because visualization activates multiple areas of the brain at the same time. Instead of only using language centers, the brain also uses visual and emotional centers. These multiple connections help information stay in memory longer. Students often use visualization to remember complex information. For example, when studying history, instead of simply memorizing dates and names, they imagine the events as a story or scene. They picture the people, the environment, and the situation. This mental picture helps the brain remember the information more easily. Visualization is also very useful for remembering lists or sequences. One famous technique is called the memory palace. In this method, people imagine a familiar place, such as their home, and place different pieces of information in different rooms. When they want to recall the information later, They mentally walk through the house and remember each item. This technique has been used for centuries and is still one of the most powerful memory strategies. Another advantage of visualization is that it makes learning more interesting. When information becomes visual and creative, the brain feels more engaged. Instead of simply repeating words, the mind becomes active and imaginative. This makes studying less boring and more enjoyable. Visualization can also help improve concentration. When you actively create images in your mind, your attention becomes more focused on the material you are learning. Distractions become less powerful because your brain is busy building mental pictures. The stronger your concentration becomes, the stronger your memory becomes. To practice visualization, you can begin with simple exercises. When reading something new, pause and try to imagine it clearly in your mind. If you learn a concept, create a mental image that represents that idea. For example, if you learn about growth, imagine a plant slowly growing into a strong tree. If you learn about speed, imagine a fast-moving train or a racing car. The brain remembers unusual and vivid images even better. The more creative the picture is, the easier it becomes to recall later. Another useful technique is drawing small diagrams or sketches while studying. Visual notes help the brain organize information and make it easier to remember. Over time, regular practice of visualization strengthens your brain's ability to learn and remember. Many people who have strong memory skills naturally use visualization without realizing it. They connect information with images, stories, and experiences. The truth is simple. Your brain is designed to remember pictures and experiences more easily than plain information. By turning ideas into images and creating strong mental pictures, you can greatly improve your memory power and concentration. And when visualization becomes a regular habit, learning becomes faster, easier, and far more effective. Lesson 5. Stay curious and ask questions. One of the most powerful ways to increase memory power and concentration is curiosity. Curiosity is the natural desire to learn and understand something deeply. When you are curious about a topic, your brain becomes more active and interested. Learning becomes easier because the mind wants to explore the information. Many people struggle to remember things because they learn passively. They read information or listen to explanations without truly engaging with the topic. Their brain receives the information, but it does not process it deeply. As a result, the information fades quickly. Curiosity changes this process completely. When you are curious, your brain becomes alert and attentive. You start asking questions, thinking about possibilities, and searching for deeper understanding. This deeper engagement strengthens memory. Think about something that truly interests you. Maybe it is a hobby, a story, or a topic you enjoy learning about. You probably remember many details about it easily. That happens because curiosity creates strong attention. Attention is one of the most important ingredients of memory. When attention increases, the brain processes information more carefully and stores it more effectively. Curiosity also encourages active learning. Instead of simply accepting information, curious people explore it. They ask questions such as, why does this happen? How does this work? What would happen if this changed? These questions force the brain to think more deeply about the topic. When the brain works harder to understand something, it forms stronger connections between ideas. These connections make information easier to recall later. Another advantage of curiosity is that it makes learning enjoyable. When people feel forced to learn something they do not care about, their concentration becomes weak. The brain feels bored and distracted. But when curiosity is present, the learning process becomes interesting and exciting. The brain releases chemicals that increase motivation and attention. This is why curious learners often remember information much longer. Curiosity also improves problem-solving ability. When you ask questions and explore ideas, you train your brain to analyze situations from different angles. Instead of memorizing information blindly, you begin to understand the logic behind it. Understanding creates stronger memory than simple memorization. Another important benefit of curiosity is that it encourages continuous learning. People who stay curious never stop exploring new ideas. They read, observe, experiment, and ask questions throughout their life. This constant learning keeps the brain active and flexible. An active brain is much better at remembering information. Curiosity also improves concentration because it gives the mind a clear purpose. When you genuinely want to understand something, distractions become less powerful. Your attention naturally returns to the topic you are exploring. To develop curiosity, it is helpful to approach learning with an open mind. Instead of thinking of learning as a task, try to think of it as discovery. Ask yourself questions about the topic. Imagine how it connects with other ideas. Look for real-life examples that make the concept clearer. You can also discuss ideas with others, read additional materials, or explore different perspectives. Each new question leads to deeper understanding. Over time, curiosity becomes a habit. Your brain becomes more active, more interested, and more capable of learning new things. This habit strengthens both memory and concentration. The truth is simple. The brain remembers what it finds interesting. When curiosity drives your learning, information becomes meaningful rather than boring. And when learning becomes meaningful, your brain stores it more effectively and remembers it for a longer time. That is why curiosity is one of the most powerful tools for increasing memory power and improving concentration. Lesson 6. Remove distractions to improve concentration. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with memory and concentration today is distraction. In the modern world, our attention is constantly pulled in many different directions. Phones, social media, notifications, messages, videos, and entertainment are always competing for our attention. Because of this, many people find it difficult to concentrate on one task for a long time. Concentration is extremely important for memory. If your mind is not fully focused while learning something, your brain cannot store the information properly. The brain needs quiet and focused attention in order to process and remember new ideas. When distractions interrupt your focus, the brain must restart its concentration again and again. Each interruption weakens your ability to remember information. For example, imagine studying for 10 minutes and then checking your phone. After returning to your study, your brain needs time to regain focus. If this happens repeatedly, your brain never enters deep concentration. As a result, learning becomes slow and memory becomes weak. People who have strong memory often protect their focus very carefully. They understand that concentration is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. But constant distractions weaken this mental muscle. One of the first steps to improving concentration is creating a distraction-free environment. When you are studying or working on something important, try to remove things that may interrupt your attention. Keeping your phone away or turning off notifications can make a huge difference. Even a small notification sound can pull your attention away from the task you are doing. A quiet and organized workspace also helps the brain concentrate better. When the environment is calm and clean, the mind feels more relaxed and focused. Another helpful technique is setting specific time periods for focused work. For example, you can decide to focus completely on one task for 25 or 30 minutes. During this time, you avoid all distractions and give your full attention to the task. After this focused period, you can take a short break to relax your mind. This method helps the brain stay fresh while maintaining strong concentration. Another important habit is controlling digital distractions. Many people check their phone automatically without even thinking. This habit breaks concentration many times throughout the day. Training yourself to check your phone only at specific times can greatly improve focus. When your brain learns that it does not need to respond to every notification immediately, concentration becomes much stronger. Reducing distractions also helps improve mental clarity. When the mind is constantly interrupted, thoughts become scattered. It becomes difficult to think deeply about any topic. But when distractions are reduced, the brain enters a state of deep focus. In this state, learning becomes faster and memory becomes stronger. Deep focus allows the brain to analyze information carefully, create connections between ideas, and store knowledge in long-term memory. Another advantage of removing distractions is that it saves time. When you concentrate deeply, tasks that normally take hours can often be completed much faster. Instead of repeating the same information many times, the brain understands and remembers it more quickly. Over time, practicing focused attention strengthens your ability to concentrate for longer periods. At first, it may feel difficult because the brain is used to constant stimulation. But with practice, the mind becomes calmer and more disciplined. People with strong concentration often describe a feeling of mental flow. In this state, the mind becomes fully engaged in the task, and learning feels smooth and natural. This is the state where memory works best. The truth is simple. Your brain remembers what it focuses on. If your attention is divided, memory becomes weak. But when you protect your focus and remove distractions, your brain becomes more powerful at learning and remembering. In a world full of interruptions, the ability to concentrate deeply has become a rare and valuable skill. And by developing this skill, you can greatly increase your memory power and improve your ability to learn and understand new information. Lesson 7. Maintain a healthy lifestyle for a strong brain. The final lesson for increasing memory power and concentration is maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Many people think memory only depends on studying techniques or mental exercises. But the truth is that the health of your body has a strong influence on the health of your brain. Your brain is a part of your body, and just like any other organ, it needs proper care, energy, and nutrition to function well. When the body is healthy, the brain works more efficiently. But when the body becomes tired, unhealthy, or stressed, the brain also becomes slower and less effective. One of the most important factors for brain health is physical activity. Exercise improves blood circulation throughout the body, including the brain. When blood flow increases, the brain receives more oxygen and nutrients. These nutrients help brain cells function better and improve memory performance. Even simple physical activities such as walking, stretching, or light exercise can have a positive effect on brain function. People who exercise regularly often experience better focus, stronger memory, and clearer thinking. Exercise also helps reduce stress. Stress is one of the biggest enemies of concentration and memory. When a person feels constantly stressed or anxious, the brain becomes overloaded with negative thoughts. This makes it difficult to concentrate on learning or remembering information. Physical activity helps release chemicals in the brain that improve mood and reduce stress. A relaxed mind learns and remembers information much more effectively. Another important factor for brain health is proper nutrition. The brain requires energy to function. This energy comes from the food we eat. A balanced diet with healthy nutrients supports better brain performance. Foods that contain vitamins, minerals, and healthy fats help strengthen brain cells and improve cognitive abilities. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and foods rich in natural nutrients support brain health. Drinking enough water is also important because dehydration can reduce concentration and cause mental fatigue. Hydration keeps the brain active and alert. Sleep, which we discussed earlier, also plays a major role in maintaining brain health. When the body rests properly, the brain has time to repair and strengthen its memory systems. Without enough sleep, the brain struggles to process information and maintain concentration. Another important habit for brain health is managing stress and maintaining a calm mind. Constant stress, worry, or overthinking can weaken memory and make concentration difficult. When the mind feels overwhelmed, it becomes harder to focus on learning or remembering new ideas. Practices such as deep breathing, relaxation, meditation, or spending quiet time in nature can help calm the mind and improve mental clarity. When the mind becomes calm, concentration naturally improves. A healthy lifestyle also includes maintaining balance in daily life. Too much work without rest can exhaust the brain. On the other hand, too much laziness without mental activity can make the brain inactive. The key is balance. Combining physical activity, healthy food, good sleep, and regular mental exercise creates an environment where the brain can function at its best. Over time, these habits strengthen the brain's ability to learn and remember. Many people search for complicated techniques to improve memory, but often the most powerful solutions are simple habits practiced consistently. Taking care of your body means taking care of your brain. When your body is healthy, your brain becomes more energetic, more focused, and more capable of storing information. The truth is simple. A strong memory comes from a strong and healthy brain. And when you build healthy habits in your daily life, you give your brain the power to learn faster, concentrate longer, and remember information more effectively. If you enjoyed this video and found these tips helpful, make sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more lessons on learning, personal growth, and success. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.